Hello everyone. Today we're learning Daf Tzadik Aleph, the 90th Daf in Bobby Kama. 90 days is a big deal. Said the Gemara, Daf Tzadik on the base. Tonu Rabbanon, we learned in the Brisa, Shori Tam She'emis, Tam Dika ox that killed, Vehizik, and he also caused damage, nothing to do with killing. So there is here two things. First, there's Dinim Ominous to pay the damage he caused, and also he killed, so he deserved to be killed. So what do we do? Donim Oisa Dinim Nefoshes, we paskin if he needs to be killed or not, and if he needs to be killed, then Donim Oisa Dinim Ominous, we don't paskin for the damage he caused. We're not concerned about the damage he caused, because the damage he caused can't be paid, because the Tam pays from Gufoy, doesn't pay from Mealia, and therefore there's nothing to pay. More is vehizik, but if it's a more to damage and also killed, donim oisa dinim ominous, you paskin dinim ominous, v'chorzim and donim oisa dinim nefoshes. And afterwards we paskin dinim, so we first paskin for the damage, we say the bailim have to pay so and so, and then dinim nefoshes, and we kill him. Kodmu v'donu dinim nefoshes, if we paskin dinim nefoshes first, and chorzim v'donim oisoi dinim ominous. We don't go on back and paskin dinim ominous after we paskin dinim nefoshes. Ask the Gemara, if we paskin first that he should get killed, what happened? We should go back, and we should judge him also nami mominus, also for the money. Omar Orava, Ashkechin Rabban de Birav. I found the Rabbanon in the base medrash of Rav. They asked me, they were sitting the Karma and they were saying, Homoni, who is this? Braiser Rab Shimon Atimni, who it is the Omar who said, Ma egrif, like we learned yesterday, that he says, Ma egrif, like a fist, miyuchot, it's special, shemosel leidim, that the Eidah, meaning the Besdin, could see the fist of the mazik, and could see if it has the power to do the hezek. Ule Eidim, and also the Eidim could see it. So also the stone, the Eidim need to see, and the Besdin need to see. Alma, we could see, but in an umdana de bedina. You need the Besdin to see the mazik and to say, is this has the power to be mazik or not? Vaha, in this case, came in the Gomadin Electola, since we passed in that it's going to get killed, the Sherm Rod, Loy Mashinan, we don't keep him around, Leila Umdina, to estimate him the Bedina of Besdin. Veloy Manina Ledina, we kill him straight away, and we don't have the time to take him to Besdin to do an estimate if he has the power to do the damage or not. And therefore, that's Pshat in the Brisa. Says Rava, V'aminelohu, and I told the Talmidim Beirav, I told them, Afilu Temer Rabbi Akiva. Really, this Brisa could be Rabbi Akiva. Hocha b'ma'askinan kigoyin shebarach. Here we're talking about that he ran away. So therefore, if the owner ran away, who ran away? The owner ran away. You can't paskin a din not in front of the bailim. Because ein chavim loy le'odom sheloi befonov. Ask the Gemara, if it's talking about that he ran away, ki loy donu din nefoshes, why did it say in the Brisa, if he didn't paskin din nefoshes? We will paskin him din ominous. How can we judge him for the hezek that his ox caused below bailim if the owner's not here? So the Gemara teretz the kobel saadei ubarach. It's talking about that there was Eidim, and then he ran away. So therefore we have already the Eidus in front of him. And now he ran away. And he has no money, only this ox. So if we didn't pass Gandini Mominus, if we didn't pass Gandini Nefoshes, we've passed in Mominus and we see what you're going to do, how you're going to pay. But if we passed already Dini Nefoshes, so we kill the ox, so there's nothing to judge him for the Mominus. So the Gemara, soif, at the end of the day, Meicha Mishtalim, if the guy ran away, how are you going to charge him? He has no money. So the Gemara, Meridia, you'll rent out the ox for work, for plowing the fields. When he gets enough money to pay his nezek, we'll give that to the nizak, and then afterwards we'll dan him din nefashos and kill him. But if we judge them ready to get killed, we kill them straight away. So the Gemara, Yochi, if so, Tam, in the ratio of the Brisa, when it says a Tam, that you straight away paskin dinin nefoshes and we don't bother with the mominus. Why? Nidaini dinin mominus. Let's paskin the mominus first. Ratio at the beginning. Let's rent him out for plowing the field, and with the rent we get, we'll pay off the damage he caused, and only afterwards we'll paskin dinin nefoshes and kill this ox. V'odin nidaini dinin nefoshes. So the Gemara, Omar Rav Mori, Breder Rav Kahana, the Samaris, we could see from here, Ridya, Aliyah de Moro. When Ridya renting out the cow and getting money for that, that's Aliyah, that's like the guy paying from his own pocket, and we know that you don't pay from your own pocket for Tam, only from the value of the ox. This is not considered the value of the ox that you can rent out. The value of the ox is how much the ox is actually worth, and therefore Tam, there's nothing to pay. If he pays mominus, we can't take the mominus because he needs to be killed, this ox. So now we understand the Brisa two ways. One way is understanding it's like Shimon Atimni, and the other way is understanding it's also like Rabbi Akiva, and it's talking about where the owner ran away after the Eidos came. Says the Gemara, we have a Shaila, Yesh Oymid L'Nezokim and Oyein L'Nezokim. If a guy punched his friend and damaged him, do we estimate the punch and say, oh, this punch makes sense to cause so much damage and therefore you have to pay? But if the guy gave a small punch and the guy got very much damage, we say, oh, you're weak, there was something wrong with you and you don't have to pay only the small damage, not the big damage that he's caused. And do we say, when you kill someone, udam dinan, that's when we estimate if in such a bang that the guy could take out the neshama or not. But when we're talking about damages, if you give him even a small punch, even if he got very hurt, we say you need to pay the full damage. Maybe there's no difference between a zokim and misa. Like misa, you do a umdina to see if there was enough power to kill. Also by nezokim, you do the same estimation. Toshma, come and listen. Ma borishesh boikedela misa sorat fochim. It says in the Brisa, or in the Mishnah, what are the bor that has to kill 10 tfochim? Af kol bor, it's anything. Sheesh boikedela mis asorat fochim. Any type of bor that's 10 tfochim deep, it could kill and yichayev if you killed a shor chamor, if a shor chamor fell in it. Oyu pchusim asara tfochim, if it was less than 10 tfochim, and off al toich a shor chamor, and an ox or donkey fell in, umeis potter. If it died, you're potter because 9 tfochim is not enough to kill an animal. Huzak boy, if you only got damaged, chayev. Said the Gemara, my love, mimato lemalo. When it says oyu pchusim asara, it means from 1 tefach to 10. Kochoshev. And this is what the Brisa means when oyu pchusim asara. Mitefach vad asara. From 1 tefach till 10, misa leka. There's no misa, but nezokim ika. But if you cause damage, you need to pay. Alman and nezokim koldu. Even 1 tefach is good enough, and we don't start saying, 1 tefach is not enough to break his leg. If he broke his leg in 1 tefach, you need to pay. We could see that for nezokim we don't do estimation. Said the Gemara, no. Are we going from 10 to 1? Asara, 10, misa ika, he could kill, and therefore for animal falls, yichai for the death. Pochos ma'asara prota, if it's less than 10, 9.5, 9, nezokim misa, then you have to pay for the damage. Misa leka, but you don't have to pay if the animal dies, because the animal doesn't die from 9 tfochim. Really, I'll tell you, yesh oymed ben azokim, if it's only 2 tfochim and the animal got too much of a damage, you won't need to pay, and you do need to estimate if there was enough of a mazik over here to cause such a hezek. V'chol midi and every bit and bit, you need that there was enough to cause that damage. If there was not enough to cause that damage, let's say a bor only of 2 tfochim and he broke all his legs, you won't need to pay. So we don't have a raya from this brisa, if you need oimid l'nezokim or not. Said the Gemara, Toshma, come and listen, Niko aleino, v'simo alozno, if someone hit him on his slave, on his eye, Iko Aleinu on his eye, Simon blinded him, Al Ozno on his ear, V'chirshan made him deaf. Eved Yotzeba Lecherus. The Eved goes out free, like we said, the Eved Knani goes out Lecherus, Berosh Yivarim, Sheinum Choizrim. Keneged Oinu Veinu Roye, says Rashi, Keneged Einu, let me just find it. This guy hit on the wall, let's say on a thin wall, let's say, and his eye was on the other side, and he hit it against the wall over there, and he harmed his eye. And he's blind, or against his ear, and he doesn't hear, and he's deaf. The Eved doesn't go out lecheres. Says the Gemara, my time, what's the reason? Why not? That you need to see if there's enough hurt, and we know that if you hit the wall next to his eye, it's not enough to make him blind. If he became blind, he had something weak about his eye. So we could see even for Nezokim, we do estimation. V'shma we could see from here, yesh umdin on Nezokim. So the Gemara, no. Mishum da'amrinan hudi bois hanafshei. The reason why you potter when you hit the wall next to his eye is because we say he got fear from himself. He got a big shock, and that's why he got blind. Nothing to do. It's a groma, but it's not an actual mazik biodayim. Kedetanya, like we learned in the Brisa, Mavi says chaveroi, someone who's scared, his friend, potter medina adam, you can't sue him in Bezdin b'chai b'dina shemayim, but shemayim will be mechayiv him. Keitzad, what's the case? Toka ba'oznoi, he blew in his ear v'chirsha and made him deaf. Potter, he's potter because he damaged himself, he got fearful and he lost his ears. Ochzoi, but if he grabbed him in his ear, v'toka ba'oznoi, and he blew in his ear, v'chirsha, and he made him deaf, chayev. So Rashi explains that we could see over here that Ochzoi is because Maisa Dideyu, it's his Maisa. So the Gemara brings the Raya that there is a musig of Iudi bois hanafshei. Says the Gemara, I'll bring you another Raya. Toshma come and listen. Chamisha dvorim oindim oisoi v'noisim l'miyad. 5 things. Chamisha dvorim oindim v'noisim l'miyad. So we said there's 5 things that a person pays when he causes damage to his friend. Nezek, the damage, tzara, the pain, ripui, the medicine, sheves, unemployment, and boishes, embarrassment. So ripui v'sheves achis rape. So we give him everything straight away. We pay him the full amount. The mazik has to pay the full amount straight away. But ripui, doctor fees, v'sheves, and unemployment, you estimate how long it will take. How long? It's not just for today's doctor's fees. It's all the doctor's fees until he gets better. Unemployment is unemployment until he can go back to work. They estimate him for a certain value to give for doctor fees. He was getting worse. You don't have to give him worse. You don't have to give him more. You give him what we estimated him. They said, okay, he needs 10 days of unemployment. Or 10 days of doctor fees, and he got better quick. We still give him the full 10 days. And we're going to see soon why. We could see you need to estimate how long the guy's going to be ill, how long he needs doctor fees. So we could see says the Gemara Poshta Teretz, to see how much a person, to estimate how much a person is going to be sick from this hit, how much he won't be sick from this hit. That we're not asking. And that's for sure we estimate and we check. What's our shaila? To estimate the actual keli that caused the damage. Did it have enough power to cause this damage or not? That's what we're asking. We're not asking, obviously, if you cause the damage, we need to estimate how much the damage is. The question is, do you estimate the stone that he threw on him, is that enough to cause a hole in his head or not? Mai, what's the din? Says the Gemara Toshma, what we learned before, and that's why this Gemara comes in. Shimon Atimni Oima. Shimon Atimni says, Ma Egroif, like a fest, miyuchod is special, samosu le'eda, that the Beis Din could look at it, ule'edim, and the edim could see it, afkol, everything that he calls damages, miyuchod, it needs to be special, samosu le'eda, that the Beis Din need to see it, ule'edim, and the edim need to see it. Shmamino, we could see from here, yesh oimid in izokim, shmamino, we could see a clear brisa that there is oimid in izokim from Shimon Atimni, and the Choyer even Rabbi Akiva was choylek and says you don't need the Beis Din to see the actual fist, it's enough that the edim see it. But we still need Beis Din to that the Eidim will be made and say what type of fist he had or what type of rock he threw. And so we could see Yesh Oimid Lenezokim. So we were pushed at our Shaila. Omar Mar, we just learned Durvi Ivri, if we estimated him for 10 days, let's say, of doctor fees and he got better quick, Noisim Loi Kol Mashon we still give him the full 10 days. Misayel Eli Rava, it's a riot to Rava, the Omar Rava. Rava said, this person, that they estimated him for 10 days, they estimated him that he needs a full day of unemployment because he can't get out of his bed. After half the day he gets up and he's strong like an ox. And he went out and worked. We still pay him unemployment of a full day. Why? From Shemayim they gave him Rachmanas and he got out of bed early. But this guy caused damage of a full day because that was the estimation. And therefore he needs to pay a full day of unemployment. It said in the Mishnah, Rokak, if he spat on someone, the boy aroik, and the spit got to the person, the ever, okay, that's the next part. So we have to pay 400 zuz. Omar Papa, Loishanu, it's only talking about Elaboy if he spat on him and he touched his skin. Ava Bebigdo, if he fell on his coat, on his jacket, on his shirt, Loy, you don't have to pay 400 zuz. Frag the Gemara when Nehave ki biesh bidvarim. Lechora, why is it worse when if I embarrass someone with bad words, I say you're mamza or some bad nasty words, Lechora you need to pay. So why won't you need to pay over here for the damage, the embarrassment he caused by spitting on his jacket? So the Gemara, Amr b'Marava, Mishmeder of Yosi Barabin in Eretz Yisrael, they say in the name of Rabbi Yosi Barabin, the Samaras, we could see from here, Bisha b'Dvarim Potum Miklum. If someone embarrasses his friend without a mice and nezek, just tells him no nice words, you don't need to pay boishes. Because like over here, that we learn it from over here, that only if he spat on him, but if he spat on his cloak, even though that embarrasses him, you don't need to pay anything. Okay, in the Mishnah, it said a whole list of things, how much you need to pay. And then it said, Akol lefik voidoi. And it wasn't very clear what this Akol lefik voidoi is coming to say. Is it coming to say that the prices we said until now is a minimum, and now we're adding on that we're saying if it's a choshev man, he get paid more? Or that the maximum, and if he's a poor man, he gets paid less? So that's the Gemara's shaila is going to be. Iboila who the Bnei Yeshiva asked the shaila. Tanekama lekula koma. Did he come to say lekula to say that sometimes you pay less, or lechumra koma, or he's coming to say that sometimes you pay more? Lekula koma doesn't mean to say lekula the ika only that there is a poor man. The loy boile mishkel kula haida. You don't need to pay so much like we say at the beginning of the Mishnah. Maybe it's coming to say that sometimes you have to pay more. The Ika Osha, that is someone who's a very bakovadik person, like a rich man, the Boile Mesav Letvei, they even have to pay more than what it says in the Mishnah. Toshma says, Gemara, come and listen. Midukoma Rabbi Akiva. Since Rabbi Akiva continues on and says, Afilu onim shebe Yisrael, even poor people and Jewish people, Roi Moise, we look at them, Ki Elohim nei chorim, as if they are free people, Shirodim Nechesein, that they lost the money, Shem Nei Avram, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, that the sons of the Avos HaKadoshim. And then the Mishnah goes on and tells you a case of a lady who gets 400 zuz because they took off her hair covering in the market. So we could see Shmamino Tanekama lekula kama Shmamino. The Rabbi Akiva was choylek. The Tanekama said at the beginning we learned that a hair covering you need to pay 400 zuz. Then Tanekama comes and says no. Akol lefiyam misbayish that sometimes a poor person you pay less. And then Rabbi Akiva says, no, even on Ani Yisrael you have to pay the full amount, and then he brings the example that you pay 400 zuz. It must be that Tanna Kama was saying that you need to pay less. That if it's Ani, you pay less than 400 zuz. So l'chora, now we understand the Mishnah. The Mishnah says fixed prices, and Tanna Kama comes and says that's only for Osher, but for Ani you pay less. And Rabbi Akiva says no, it's a fixed price. And then there was a story in the Mishnah that this man uncovered the woman's hair, and then Rabbi Akiva forced him to pay 400 zuz, and he says, I want to pay later. And then he waited, and he uncovered, he waited for the woman to stand outside the garden, and then he broke a vessel with a small amount of issa of oil, and the woman uncovered her hair to take the oil, and he went back to Rabbi Akiva. He said, look, for issa of value she's willing to take of her hair covering. Why should I pay 400 zuz? And Rabbi Akiva said, no, a person's not allowed to mazik himself, but you still have to pay if you cause him mazik, and if he's mazik himself as potter, that she's willing to get embarrassed for one issa doesn't patter you from 400 zuz. But now the Gemara is going to stress on one point that we said that Rabbi Akiva gave him time to pay off. Ask the Gemara, Mi Avinan Zman, do we give time to pay off? For Omar Rav Chanina said, Ein noisin malech habolos. If someone caused damage to a friend, you have to pay straight away. Says the Gemara Teretz, Kilo Avinan Zman. When don't we give him time and we say he pays straight away? Lechabola, when he caused him damage to Chasr Mamoine, that he lost money. When we're talking about embarrassment, that there's no loss of money, and we give the Mivayesh time to pay off his debt. Like we said before, he waited until she stood at the outside of a garden, and then he broke a vessel with oil, etc. It said in the Brisa, Rabbi Akiva told him, it's like he dived in deep waters to find pearls, and all he found was broken earthenware that's not worth anything. He did a whole maisa, you brought Edim, you broke a vessel of thing, and all what you did is he didn't help you anything, you still have to pay 400 zuz. And then it continues on the Brisa, a person's allowed to harm himself. And in our Mishnah it says a person's not allowed to harm himself. So l'chor it's a stira, Omar Rava, lo ikasha, kan bechavola, kan beboishes. In Chabola, a person's not allowed to damage himself, to cut himself, let's say. But to embarrass himself, he's allowed to embarrass himself. Ask the Gemara the obvious question, our Mishnah beboishesu, it's talking about embarrassment, that she embarrassed herself, and she uncovered her hair, someone who damages himself, even though that's forbidden, potter, he's still potter. So, it's talking about boishes, and we say it's forbidden, and we're saying boishes, it's mutter. So the Gemara, this is pshat in the Mishnah. This is what Rabbi Akiva told this person. Not only embarrassment, that this lady is allowed to embarrass herself, but still you're not allowed to embarrass her and you'll need to pay. Even talking about when you're causing damage, like cutting yourself, that person's not allowed to cause damage to himself, but still if he did it, he's potter. If someone else did it to him, you still need to pay. That he's damaging himself, you find the guy who's cutting his hands, it doesn't mean that you're allowed to also cut his hands. Ask the Gemara, is a person not allowed to cause damage to himself? Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, can it be that someone who made a shvur to cause damage, and he didn't cause damage, that he should be potter because he's oivel divrei Torah, because you're not allowed to cause damage, and therefore it's a shvur lava and divrei Torah that's nochal. Talmud loima, no, lo'ara le'etiv, to cause damage, to cause bad or to do good. A person who makes a shvur doesn't matter if it's to do good or bad. Ma tova rishus, like making good. If I make a shvur to ride a bicycle, is rishus, it's muta. Afar rishus also to do bad on himself. Is rishus avi nishbale orla ba'atzmoi velo era. So someone who made a shvur to cause damage to himself and he didn't do it, he's chayiv. And if causing damage to yourself is considered the Issa, so the Chur is Nish Balavar al Torah, it's no Chal. So we could see a person's allowed to cause damage to himself. Omar Shmuel Teretz Be'esha Betainis. It's talking about the person made the neder to cause bad to himself, not to cut himself, just to sit in Tainis, and he didn't sit in Tainis, that's why he's Chayev. Said the Gemara, the Kavosoga Be'aros Acherim Lo Yishivim Betainis Acherim. That means over there in the Brisa, it says over there, Yochon Nishba Le'or Acherim V'lo Yos Chayev. It could be that if I do you think I'll make a shvua to cause damage to other people, and I didn't do it, you'll be chayiv Talmud Lo Yimar Le'or Leitiv, that only something that you're allowed to do, and to cause damage to other people, you're not allowed to do. And therefore, the shvua is no chal. So it says the Gemara, the Kavosega, but it's talking about the same case, Lo Yishivim B'Tanis. It's talking about, you're going to tell me, it's talking about, you made a shvua to put someone else in a tanis they shouldn't eat, a fast. Can you put someone else in a fast? The guy's going to eat. How are you going to stop him? So the Gemara, yeah, you could put someone else in a fast. You could put someone in a small room and lock the door, and he's going to have to fast because he has no food. And on that, the Brisa says over there that on such a type of shvua, it's no chal because it's forbidden to do so, to force someone to fast. Said the Gemara, Vatanya, we learned in the Brisa, Ezu Aras Acherim, what does it mean, Aras Acherim, that we're talking about over there in Shavuos, Ake Ploini, I'll hit Ploini, Eftzes Moichoi, and I'll damage his brain, and we say on that it's considered Rishus. That when you're doing it for someone else, it's considered no Rishus, but when you do it to yourself, that's a ras acherim, that's forbidden, but that means if aras atzmo is mutter, if I'm allowed to damage my brain with a bang myself in the wall, and we said over here, the Rabbi Akiva says that it's forbidden to damage yourself. Said the Gemara, Elo Tanoihi. So the way Tosfos learns, and it fits in very nice in the Sugya, we're saying that we answered at the beginning on Amud Aleph that there's a difference between you're not allowed to damage yourself. We asked the Kasha, and the Mishnah says you're not allowed to damage yourself, and the Brisa says you are allowed, and we said one is boishus and one is nezek. We're going back from that. We're saying no, there's two Tanoim, Aliba de Rabbi Akiva. One holds Rabbi Akiva holds you're allowed to damage yourself, and one holds you're not allowed to damage yourself. The Ikeleman Doma, one Shitta holds in Shittas Rabbi Akiva, Ein Odom Rasha Lechavel Ba'atzmoi. L'chora, that's our Mishnah. The Ikeman Doma, the Ritherman Doma, Odom Rasha Lechavel Ba'atzmoi. A person's allowed to, like it said in the Brisa, that Odom Rasha Lechavel Ba'atzmoi. Said the Gemara, Man Tana, who is the Tana the Shomaslei, who we hear that he says, the Omar, Ein Odom Rasha Lechavel Ba'atzmoi, that person's not allowed to damage himself. Ilema Hai Tana, if you think it's this Tana, who? The Tanya that we learned. Ve'ach es damchele nafshisechem edroish. It's a pasuk in Parshas Noach that it says that Hashem tells us that from the first 10 duras a person was not allowed to kill an animal to eat. And then Hashem says you're allowed to kill animals to eat. Hashem was matir to Bnei Noach. And Hashem says, but if someone kills a human, that's not forgiven. Adorash, Ve'ach es damchem lenafshusechem odrush. Rab Lezer says, Miyad nafshusechem edrush is damchem. From your own nefesh al bitoveyu, meaning if someone commits suicide and he kills himself, he'll come up to Shemaim and Hashem will say, why did you kill yourself? You'll have a taina against him and he'll durish him. Even from a guy kills himself, so you could see that person's not allowed to kill himself. And now we understand that like killing is also damage. So the Gemara, no, that's not raya. The Dilma Ktola Shiny, maybe killing is forbidden, you're not allowed to commit suicide, but I'm allowed to cut my hand. Elo ahai tanu, it must be this Tana, the Tanya. We learned in the Brisa, Mekarim ala meis, if someone dies, you're allowed to tear your clothes. Veloy midar karamuri, it's not called considering that you're going after the anoga of the Imori who was in Eretz Yisrael, that we kicked them out, and you're not allowed to go. Lo telchu midar karamuri. Omar Rabbi Lozo, Rabbi Loza says, Shamati Shamekare Alameis Yosimidai, someone who tears too much, Loike, he gets Malchus. Why? Mishum Bal Tashkis, because you're not allowed to cause damage. The Kolshe came, so the Gemara, so we could see Rabbi Loza says you're not allowed to tear clothes. So the Gemara, the Kolshe can gufa, if I'm not allowed to tear my jacket, Kolshe I'm not allowed to bash my face. So the Rabbi Loza is a shit in Rabbi Akiva who holds that you're not allowed to cause damage to yourself. So the Gemara of a Dilma, Godim shiny. Maybe it's different. You're not allowed to tear your jacket, but to damage yourself you're allowed to. And what's the difference? The Pseida Deloy Hodahu. Because if I tear my jacket, it's never going to get back good again. Only if I go to the tailor, but by itself it won't get back. But if I give myself a punch or I bash myself in the wall, it's going to get back by itself. It will get better. Kihoder Rabbi Yochanan, like Rabbi Yochanan said, Kori lemane, he'd call his clothes michabeduta, something that gives me respects me. If I wear something clean, I look respectful. So we could see clothes have a big chashivus. Rav Chizda and Rav Chizda kadave maski, when he would go beini, in between hizmi veigi, its type of forms, madli lehu lemane, he'd pick up his garment. Omar, he said, I prefer getting scratches on my leg and not getting my clothes torn. Why? If I get a scratch, it's going to get better. But and my cloak will never get better if I won't take it to a tailor. Therefore, I prefer getting scratched. So we could see it's less worse to get scratched than tearing your clothes. So you can't say kol shekain, like you're not allowed to tear your clothes, you're not allowed to damage yourself. Says the Gemara, Elo, it must be the Shitta who holds that you're not allowed to cause damage to yourself. Ahai Tanahu. It's this Tana, the Tanya that we learned in the Brayta Omer Rabbi Leza Kafa, Berebi. Rabbi Leza Kafa said in the name of Rebbe, Matamud Loima, what's the limud from the Pasuk? It says, V'chiper olav masher chota ala nefesh. It's talking about a Nazir, that he, when he brings a carbon, it's a carbon kapara. And we say it's a kapara, asher chota ala nefesh, v'chiber either nefesh chota zeh. What avera did the Nazir do? Elo shias shetzias atzmei min hayayin, because he avoided from drinking wine, he was mitzayim himself. V'alo dvarim kal v'choyim, and it's a kal v'choyim l'chor mazeh. What about this Nazir? Shelo yitzir atzmei la min hayayin nikra choytei. All he did was avoid drinking wine. He's already called a choyta. A mitzay atzmei mikol dov, someone who causes any type of tzar. Let's say he fasts or he bashes his head on the wall. Al achas kama v'kama, that is called a choyta. So the Mishnah Rabbi Akiva is Lefishitus Rabbi Elazar Akafa Berebi, who holds you're not allowed to cause damage to yourself, and you're not allowed to fast for no reason. So now we found the source. Akoitzitz netioiso, of someone who cuts. Then the Mishnah said also that someone who cuts his own plants, you're not allowed to because you're not baltashkes. But if you do it, you potter. But if someone else does it, he's chayav. Toni Rabbi Bar Bar Chona Kemeder Rav. Rabbi Bar Chona learned in front of Rav. Shoyre Ragtor. Reuben comes to Shimon and he tells him, you killed my ox. Netiosu kotatsto, you cut my olive tree. And Shimon says, Ato amarati liloigo, you told me to kill it. Ato amarati liloikoito, you told me to cut it off. Potter doesn't need to pay. His taina, we accept his taina that Reuben told him to do it. Omalei, the Rabbi told him, Im Kain, if so, lo shavket chayle brioso, you won't have no din in Nizikim anymore. Kol kamine, how can we trust him? Every guy who causes damage, I'll go and kill someone's ox, and then when he takes me to Best Din, I'll say, oh, you told me to kill him, and they'll let me off. So what doesn't make no sense? Omalei ismei, okay, I'll rub this out. It makes sense what you're asking me. Let me rub this out and never repeat it again. Omalei, loy, don't. Titagram as nisoch, explain your brisa. B'shor ha'oimed le'ariga, it's talking about ox that we passed and that he should be killed. Ube'ilon oimed le'ktzitza, and a tree that needs to be cut off because it's going to be falling into Rosh Hashanah or something like that. And therefore we trust him to say that he told him to kill it or to cut the tree. But normally we don't trust him. Ask the Gemara, Yochi, Maikotoinle, why is Reuven tining from Shimon and Bezdin? You cut my tree down or you killed my ox. If this ox needs to be killed, so an ox that needs to be killed, why are you tining that he killed it? It needs to be killed. The tree needs to cut down. What's he tining? What do you want from him? So the Gemara, the Omalei, Reuven says in Besdin, Ano beina lemeva the mitzvah. I wanted to kill the ox. I want to do the mitzvah. This ox needs to be killed. It's a mitzvah to kill it. This tree is a danger. I wanted to take it down. The Tanya, like we learned in the Brisa, v'shofach v'chiso. It says in the pasuk that the v'shofach, you pour the blood when you do shchita, and then you cover the dam. And we dash in Misha Shofach, the one who poured the blood, Yechase, he the one who covers. He has a mitzvah to cover the blood, Kisei Adam, because the Torah has lots of respect for the blood of the animal. Umaisa be'achod, and the story one person, Sheshochat, that he shechted the animal, the Kodem Chaver, and his friend came quickly, V'chiso, and he covered the blood. V'chivur and Gamliel was mechayiv to pay, Litinu Asora Zovim, 10 Zovim, because he stole away his mitzvah. So therefore, also over here, we're saying is that you have a mitzvah. My mitzvah is to kill this animal because it's a dangerous animal or to cut the tree. So I come to Bezdin and I say, Shimon did it without permission. So then Shimon is believed to say, no, you told me to do it. But if Shimon would say, no, you never told me to do it, I just did it by myself, would be Mechayev Shimon to pay the schar of doing the mitzvah because Reuven wanted to do the mitzvah. Omar Rav, says Rav, Dikla de Toin Kaba, a palm tree that takes out a kav, it's a type of amount every cycle. Also, it has enough fruit that you're not allowed to cut it down. You can't say this is already a tree that's not producing fruit and you could cut it down. Enough one kav, and it's already considered an amount that you're not allowed to cut the palm tree. It's bal tashchis. We have a kasha, how much does the olive tree bring a year and you're not allowed to cut it down? Roiva. A quarter. That's a quarter of a kav. Before we said a kav, here we say a quarter. So the Gemara shiny zeis in the chashivi. Olives have more chashivas. Shivas aminim, you make olive oil from it. So then, even a reva kav, you're not allowed to cut it down. But tamori, that's less choshev, only from already from less than a kav, you're allowed to cut it down. Only if it brings a kav, that's when you're not allowed to cut it down. Omar Rab Chanina says, Lo shochiv shivchas bri, my son Shivchas didn't die, Elo, only because the kotste inosa below his money, because my son cut a fig tree before its time to cut it down, because it was still producing fruit. Omar Ravina says, if the value of the wood of the tree is higher than the value of the fruit that it produces, mutter, you're allowed to cut this tree down. Tani Nami Ochi, we have a brisa that says the same. Rak eitz asher teda. It says in the pasuk, I'm going to read the pasuk in a second. Kitotzur al ir yomim rabim. If you go to war and you make a siege, Lilochem oleh, to fight it, lotofsa, to capture the city. Loi tashkis, it's eitzo. Don't cut down the trees, lingoech oleh gazen, to cut it down. Kimimeno toichal, because you're not allowed to cut down a fruit tree. V'oisoi loi tichrois, don't cut it. Ka'odom eitz asode, lovoi mifonecho matzor. And here is a famous pasuk that a person's like a tree. You could look at Rav Nachman, he has deep explanations about that. Continues the pasuk, Rak eitz asher teida, just the tree that you know, kiloi eitz machalhu, that it's not fruit tree. Oisei tashchis, you can cut it down. The kurasa, you cut it. Ubonisa motzor, and you can build a siege. Aloir, on the city, asher I oisei imcho milchoma adrid toik, and then you conquer the city. So, Tani Nami Ochi, says the Gemara, we learn the same, Rak eitz asher teida. It says in the second pasuk, just the tree that you know. And l'chora, the pasuk could have said, Rashi explains, because it could have said, Rak asher lo ya'ave machal, only a tree that's not eitz machal, that you can cut it down, but the pasuk adds on, Rak asher lo teida. So the Brisa tells you, a big chiddush, Rak eitz asher teida ve'ilon machal. It's coming to say, even a fruit tree you're allowed to cut down to make the siege. Kiloi eitz machal hu, and a tree that's not a fruit tree, ve'ilon trak, that's a tree that doesn't have fruit, also that you can cut it down. It continues the Brisa, since we're saying that's a pasuk that it's talking about not the fruit tree, is also talking about the fruit tree, that even a fruit tree you're allowed to cut down. Why did it say in the pasuk that only one that doesn't have fruit? We're saying that we mirabe even a tree that has fruit you're allowed to cut down. Tells you the Braisa la'akdim srak lemachal, that they need first cut down the trees that don't have fruit. If there's no trees left, and there's no trees over here to keep doing the siege, so you're allowed to cut down also a fruit tree. But first start with the non-fruit trees. You might have thought, even if this tree is more valuable for firewood or to use it as a beam in a building, you're still not allowed to cut it down because it has fruit, and you're not allowed in no circumstance to cut down a fruit tree. Talmud loyma rak. It says in the pasuk rak that's coming to me might dafka a fruit tree that has a lot of fruit. But if it doesn't have a lot of fruit, if it has a bigger value as material, wood material, you're allowed to cut that down. Okay, let's get to the Mishnah. It says the Gemara Daf Tzadik Beis. Shmuel Aisile Arisei Tamri. Shmuel, his Oris. So Oris means a person who works in the field for him, and he gets paid a certain percentage of the produce. So he brought him dates, ochil. Shmuel ate, toimbo, and he tasted tama de chamra, taste of wine. Omale my high. What's pshat is these dates have taste of wine? Omale beini gufne kaimi. It grows in a field of grapes, so it's getting the taste of the grape trees. If we taste the taste of the wine, of the grapes in the dates, so it's making the grape trees weak. Kulahai so much. Lemocha, he told his Oris, tomorrow I see them mikurayu. There's two pshat in Rashi, but basically he told him, bring me the roots of them. Bring me, or there is in the date tree, there's some type of something that you could eat in the roots or in the bark of the tree. Basically he told him, cut down the tree because it's causing damage to the vine. So we could see from here that in certain circumstances you're allowed to cut down a fruit tree. Rav Chisda Choza Tali Ben Gufni, he saw small palm trees, date trees growing in the vineyard. Omale Larise, he told his Oris, Akrini Gufni, cut them out. Sorry, Akrini, take them out the ground. Gufni, konidikli, with grapes, you could buy with the wine, you could buy lots of fields and grow dates. But from dates, loy koni gufni, they don't have a high value, they're much low value. And therefore, we don't want these dates to ruin our field. Please cut them down. Thank you very much. Everyone should have a blessed day.